What's going on, everybody? It's Aaron Duncan here, back again with another Panthers video brought to you by Unnecessary Bluntness Sports Talk. This is the channel where I might not tell you what you want to hear, but I'm definitely going to tell you what you need to hear. In today's video, we're going over some Panthers news that have come out over the week and just going over the top headlines that's happening in this fan base. So before we get into that, if you want to see more content about the Panthers and everything that happens in news and updates, film breakdowns, podcasts, live streams, all the above, make sure you guys are subscribed down below and give the video a thumbs up, because the video giving it a thumbs up is going to help me out in the algorithm. But when you do subscribe, hit the bell icon. That way you get a notification for all. That way YouTube doesn't play a hate, and they'll send you a notification for everything that I drop, and you won't miss anything, because we got a lot of good things on the bin. This is back end of this Panther season that's been crazy. Who knows what's going to happen from all kind of player turnover, maybe some coaches turnover. So if you want to stay on top of all the news and breakdowns and stuff of what's going on with the team, you got to hit the subscribe button below. The first piece of news that's come out is after the Matt Rhule's post-game press conference after what happened against, obviously, this loss to the Atlanta Falcons, where they played both quarterbacks in PJ and Cam Newton. Matt Rhule came out and said that they would probably look at playing both quarterbacks in the future going forward anyway. They said they had a package of plays for PJ, but obviously with him knowing the 2-minute drill a little bit more because he's been around the team longer, they left him in those scenarios instead of having Cam in there. And I mean, I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world, but I would have expected more of, I guess, progress over the bye week. Like, what were you guys doing over the bye week? I know it's been a few weeks since Cam has been here. With the bye week, obviously things have slowed down. Why wasn't Cam being quizzed or put up to speed on those 2-minute drills now? I know it's about scenario football and about getting reps. Matt Rhule is coming under scrutiny for not practicing stuff. We hear about Teddy Bridgewater saying that red zone and situational stuff was only practiced one time a week during the walkthrough. So is that the reason why Cam Newton isn't up to speed on 2-minute drill yet? I know it's something that takes time and that's a tough situation, but it leaves a really of a question mark. But at the same time, we're not getting great quarterback play from either of these guys. A lot of people are just saying we need to roll with Cam to see what we have, at least for next year, to see if you want to extend him. I can't disagree. We're pretty much eliminated from playoff contention. You might as well let Cam Newton take the full reins and see what you have. And that way you can adjust in this offseason the quarterback situation as a whole, and you have all your cards. You know exactly what you have in the room, because you know Sam Darnold is in it, and you know P.J. Walker is in it. Can you get Cam to be a bridge quarterback until you get your young guy in here while you're building up the offensive line and everything else on this team? That's the thing. But a lot of people are going to be pissed off. There was some boos of P.J. Walker at the game against the Falcons when he came in and turned the ball over. But it really doesn't matter who's at quarterback, because this offensive line is going to be inconsistent, and we don't really have an identity when it comes to play calling. But the real monkey wrench that got thrown in here to Sam Darnold coming off of injured reserve soon and very soon. And Matt Rhule said he's about a week or two away, and down the stretch, Sam Darnold could be a factor. Now, some people on Twitter are joking that, will Matt Rhule seriously be crazy enough to run a 3-quarterback system? Or will he even be crazy enough to put Sam Darnold back in the lineup after signing Cam and paying him all this money? I don't think so. I'm still think that he's out here trying to save Sam Darnold's feelings, because in 1 to 2 weeks, we're only going to have, 2 more games left? There would be no point in throwing Sam out there after being off that long, unless it's garbage time or some kind of catastrophic injury happens. So I don't really think that he's going to seriously consider playing Sam Darnold. I just think that he wants to keep Sam's confidence up like he has been, still not hurt his feelings, because he's not in the business of hurting feelings. He wants to coddle Sam Darnold. So I really don't think that it's realistic that Sam gets back in the lineup. But for him to say that, it just gives more fuel to the flame of what these fans are wanting. These fans want blood. They want Matt Rhule out of here, and he continues to dig himself in holes and give them material to say this is why he doesn't need to be the head coach. So pay attention to the quarterback situation going forward, how the rest of the season plays out. In my opinion, Cam Newton should get the reins just to see what we have in there and evaluate from there. That brings us to the next topic, but we're still staying with the same position when it comes to quarterback. Headlines came out recently that before the trade deadline, before they signed Matt Barkley, and before they signed Cam Newton, the Carolina Panthers talked to the Philadelphia Eagles about what the asking price was for Gardner Minche. Quarterback Gardner Minche, you know, the mustache guy, the guy that wears the small, tight shorts, the guy that actually got a win for the Eagles in his one start. They asked about it, and a lot of fans were kicking the tires on Gardner Minshew last year about possibly bringing him in after Trevor Lawrence got picked up, but they ended up dealing Minshew to the Eagles. But from what we hear from Ian Rappaport's reports, is that there wasn't really any kind of serious connection. It's just put some flyers and fishers and feelers out there to see how much it would cost to get Gardner Minche. Now, a lot of people are pissed off about this because they're like, why would you try to keep doing these reclamation projects when it's already failed with Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater and stuff like that? And why give up any more draft capital for a guy like Gardner Minche, who's probably not the long-term answer? He may have some upside to possibly be that long-term answer, but more likely than not, Gardner Minche would not be the long-term answer. I think the team was still in win-now mode. Maybe Gardner Minshew gave us the better chance to win. I mean, this guy has some moxie. He can be a little bit unpredictable at times, but Gardner Minshew has shown that he can be a capable quarterback when the situation is right. And the Panthers felt pretty good about their situation at the time with the receivers that they had, the way the defense was playing just a few weeks ago, and they were still in the thick of the playoff hunt. So I can't really blame them for kicking the tires, and I'm just happy they didn't make that mistake in giving up any more draft capital. Maybe they would have traded a cornerback or somebody that's crowded on this team, maybe like a pass rusher like a Etor or Marquise Haynes. Who knows what they were asking for in that pursuit when they were talking to the Eagles. But it just lets you know how this team felt about the quarterback position and how they felt about the team as a whole at that point back then. And for them to want to even consider Gardner Minshew, I mean, it shows that they were actually trying to be in win-now mode. That's definitely not a rebuild mode. That is a win-now mode because you want to be able to take advantage of that hot defense that you had at the time and the opportunity that was in front of you to make the playoffs. So Gardner Minshew could have potentially been a Carolina Panther, and that's kind of weird to say. The next headline coming out of Carolina was DJ Moore's injury status. DJ Moore got injured in the Falcons game, and Matt Rhule has ruled that he had a pulled hamstring, and he is day-to-day. Now, DJ Moore has far and beyond been our best and most productive receiver this season. He's come up with a lot of scrutiny, obviously, lately because of the criticism of his route running and stuff like that from his past game. But DJ Moore clearly is the best receiver that we have. So having him on there I don't even want to imagine what our offense would look like without DJ, and even as bad as it's been thus far. People think it can't get worse, but I think that without DJ, it can definitely get worse. So hopefully we'll get some more clearance as the week goes by, and we'll pay attention to that. But it's going to be tough because you're going to Buffalo when it's clearly going to be cold. It's the middle of December in Buffalo, New York. There's a potential that it may snow. There's potential there may be a blizzard. Who knows? We saw the weather when they played the Patriots on prime time the other week. That's not very good for soft tissue injuries. When it's cold, it's hard to get warm. It's hard to stay loose. It's hard to keep those soft tissue calf muscles and hamstrings and hips and quads and stuff like that loose. And you're susceptible to pulling those muscles. So could they possibly aggravate it? Could it be tougher for DJ Moore to prepare if we have to play in the cold? That will be definitely something to pay attention to because we haven't got much for Terrace Marshall. Haven't got much for Robbie. We did get a little bit more last game. And without Christian McCaffrey, probably our best pass catcher, our offense, especially on the outside, is going to be very, very abbreviated without DJ Moore. So pay attention to that, guys. And from a long-term perspective, if DJ Moore has to miss any time, he can miss out on possibly having another 1,000-yard year, which can give him a bargaining chip when it comes to negotiating for his contract. So he's going to want to be available to possibly continue to build on those stats and build on his progress as a receiver and make a statement of why the Panthers should pay him long-term money either now or in the near future when his fifth-year option is up. And last but not least is the headline. This is more of an NFL headline, but the Panthers seem to have dodged the bullet when it comes to the COVID bug. There was 37 diagnoses of COVID-19 over the past 2 days from the NFL. Many teams were getting devastated by that, but it seems like the Panthers has pretty much dodged that bullet for now. Knock on wood. But we'll see what happens going forward. So a lot of teams that were devastated. The Rams, obviously, you saw guys before the game get ruled out like Jalen Ramsey and Tyler Higbee, even though they still were able to get the win. But it just lets you know that Omnicron, whatever you pronounce it, that variant of COVID is still running rampant. And it seems like the NFL has dropped the hammer that any kind of tier 2 or tier 3 personnel have to get the booster shots. And those will be the next step for many players. I know there's still certain protocols in place that give players the option of not taking the vaccine, and it really makes it hard for them to function with the rest of the team, but that option is still there. But anybody on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to like probably locker room attendants or equipment managers, they're going to be required to get that booster, and I wouldn't be surprised to see many players getting that booster because their deadline for those tier 3 personnel for the NFL is December 27th because they're not going to let some lower tier employees, not that I don't appreciate what they do, but they're not going to let those type of guys jeopardize the season when they're this far in the season and one of the most exciting NFL seasons thus far where we're 12, 13 weeks in with 4 games left, and nobody has really clinched the playoff spot yet. that means something's great. I mean, the Panthers were in a weird spot themselves where just a week ago, they were a game and a half away from the playoffs, but a game away from having a top 5 pick. That's just how small the margin for error is in this league, about how one game you win, you could be up in the playoffs, and the next game you could be down looking at drafting an offensive lineman or a quarterback in the top 5. So it's been a crazy year. COVID has made this statement that it's going to keep being even crazier down the stretch. It will be something to pay attention to, but it seems like the Panthers did dodge that bullet for now. But obviously, it seems like I think the Panthers were one of the teams that had 100% vaccination status, especially after they traded Denzel Perryman. So it'll be interesting to see how they move forward when it comes to the booster, but something to pay attention to. Nevertheless, you guys let me know down below in the comments how you feel about any of these topics. What is your opinion about this team for the rest of the year, about the quarterback position mainly, which is what we talked about today? And are you nervous about this COVID variant that could jeopardize a Panthers game or two down the stretch? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I'll see you next time. Peace.